We've got folks kind of trickling into the We've got folks kind of trickling into the Okay, for those of you that have already joined us, welcome to our Lunch and Learn today. This topic is about the Regional Dispatch Center, and we have several guests that have joined us to provide a whole bunch of information before you submit your ballots or head to the polls. We are recording this session, and it is being live streamed to YouTube. And we'll give folks a couple minutes to trickle on in, and then we'll get started with our presentation. Okay, folks, my watch has 11:34. In the interest of everyone's time, and because I know we have a lot to get covered, I'm going to go ahead and kick us off. So thank you so much for coming to today's Lunch and Learn virtually. Hopefully you've managed to squeeze some lunch in first. I want to thank our presenters listed here on the screen for their time and significant efforts towards this issue. This is a nonpartisan issue. It's been placed on the ballot for your approval at the election. Because of this issue's broad impact, this session is being live streamed and will be recorded and made available on the Stow-Munroe Falls Chamber of Commerce YouTube page after the session concludes. Chief Film will make formal introductions and then turn it over to our first presenter. Chief?
Thank you, Jennifer. I really appreciate the opportunity to be in here today to bring our group. For those in chamber, I have made a couple meetings over the years, not too many. I know I'm negligent in that, but I am a chamber member. So about a month and a half ago, I reached out to Jennifer and I asked her if it would be okay or appropriate that we do a lunch and learn. We do have issue 23 on the ballot, and it's up to the taxpayers, registered voters, to determine whether or not we should move forward with the regional dispatch center. So today, I just wanted the opportunity to bring my group together, or our group, it's not my group, our group together, and to give you some of the information that we've been asked quite a bit over social media the past month. And I thought this was a great avenue to do that. We do have, just for a quick introduction here, so we do have the Deputy Director of Summit County Division of Public Safety, Lori Pesci. We have the Project Manager of MCM Consulting Group, Jason Roblin, the CEO of MCM Consulting Group, Michael McGrady, the Summit County Executive Chief of Staff, Brian Nelsen, Fire Chief Mark Stone, myself, Chief Film, and then Stow's Mayor, John Pribonic. Just with the, to give just a very brief history of why we are here today. Back in 2015, 2016, Cuyahoga Falls and Stow and the departments that we serve got together, and we started talking about a CAD system, which is a computer-aided dispatch software system that allows us to dispatch our calls, and our records management system. Both of our communities, the systems were inundated and they were old, and they didn't work for us. We looked at different avenues to upgrade our systems because we couldn't simply afford it ourselves. It was a project for just one community, was about $1 million. We've been working on that project now for the last couple of years. Some of the communities have gone live, and I know that next month we will be going live with our CAD system upgrade, countywide CAD. It's not countywide CAD system, but county system with the CAD system for the county, and that we're very excited about that. A year and a half ago, we started talking bigger picture, regional dispatch center. And initially, I was a little skeptic. I wasn't sure if it could be done. And over the last year and a half, we have worked together very diligently and have come up with a system that we think is unique, is efficient, and we're excited to present it to you today. With the regional dispatch center itself, and regionalization is nothing new to Summit County. With that, I'd like to introduce Mark Stone to talk a little bit further about that.
Thank you, Chief Film. Good morning, everybody. I do want to talk to you about the regional collaborative approach that has been very successful for the city of Stow and other agencies in Summit County. The things that we currently do with other agencies are, as was already mentioned, our computer-aided dispatch center is currently hosted in Portage County, and next month will be hosted inside Summit County with the Summit County servers. Our radio system is a county-wide radio system that we all participate in and have done for a number of years. The phone system is the same as well. The prosecutors use software that case management software that is done throughout the region as well. The Metro Crash Team is a collaborative effort between area police departments. The Metro SWAT Team, same thing. There is a number of departments that realize that alone they cannot do these activities without joining forces with other agencies. In the fire department, we are in the same boat. We have the fire department dive team. There was no pun intended there, I apologize. But we have the dive team that we rely on other agencies to help us do dive rescue. The technical rescue operations team, which I was a member of for about 19 years, uses a few people from every agency to do confined space, structural collapse, high angle rescue, as well as swift water rescues. It takes a lot of people and a lot of equipment to do such a thing. The hazmat team was started here in Stow in the 1980s under Chief Douchy and continues to be a very strong force in our regional agencies. It is probably the most used agency that we have amongst the fire departments where we share resources. I also want to point out something else a little bit different than this approach, and that is we live in a new era. We live in a pandemic-driven world, which forces us to look at increasing the protection for our dispatchers and our employees in ways that we have never considered before. And this dispatch center is much larger than our current facility. It has the potential to expand the distance between our individuals in the workplace. I also foresee a future facility where our dispatchers can not only remove their masks while they're here at work, but they can also do so while being protected. Keep in mind that 2020 is a year that'll forever change the way that we do business. We have to keep that in mind when we look to the future of the physical dispatch center. And I think that this proposed dispatch center offers us a lot of room to grow and a lot of room to protect our employees in the future. Thanks, Chief Film.
Thank you, Chief Stone. Next, I would like, we have received a ton of questions. Why move to a regional dispatch center? What are the benefits? And with that, we brought in MCM, the CEO, Mike McGrady, and our project manager, Jason Roblin, to discuss just those benefits. Gentlemen.
Sure. I'll start off. This is Michael McGrady, the CEO of MCM Consulting Group. So when we initially got hired to look at the study for the consolidation, we realized that you have, a patchwork of 911 facilities. In the United States, there's about 3,141 counties, and there's about 5,500 911 centers. So there's typically, only one 911 center per county. Some areas might have some secondary centers, but typically there's only one. And to get the most cost-efficient services and also get the best services, you want to have a consolidated 911 center. So that means that you have one public safety answering point where the 911 calls are received. Right now, when you get a wireless 911 call on a regular basis, it goes to the wrong 911 center based on when the cell tower is. So then that call has to be transferred back. So Stow receives a 911 call, but it's over in the Falls. So then they have to transfer that caller to the Falls. But first off, they have to ask, the location of them. So these poor people are getting asked the questions, 2 times when it's transferred over from one center to the other center. Also, when you look at the training programs across the county, they're not all consistent. When you have a consolidated public safety answering point, you have a professional 911 official, typically a PSAP manager or executive director who's running the 911 center. You would have a training officer, and that officer will be in charge of all the new hire training, as well as all the continuing education training, and ensuring that you're meeting the national standards for your telecommunicators. You also have a quality assurance officer. Again, that's a 911 professional, and their job is to ensure that all the policies, procedures, and protocols are being followed within the center. So it's not just if somebody calls up and complains, it's to ensure that if you have a set protocol for dispatching a police car, fire truck, and ambulance, all of those are followed up on a regular basis, and that they're meeting, not only your center standards, but also the national standards. And when you look at technology, I think, right now, most people dial 911, but in the future, people will be texting 911. You'll be able to send streaming video to 911. So if you see a robbery in progress and you film the person who's creating that robbery, not only can you talk to the 911 dispatcher, but you'll be able to send that video to the 911 center. And that's all part of what's called an ESI net, Emergency Service Intranet. And the state of Ohio is working on their statewide intranet right now, and then it'll be also connected to a national, state, intranet. And again, that's only going to be at one place in each county. They're not going to be sending it out to multiple places. So then when you look at equipment, when you look across the county, each PSAP, over time now has the same radio system. They're working on having the same computer-aided dispatch system. You can share what's called a log recorder. That's what actually listens to the 911 calls and tapes 911 calls, as well as the radio traffic. All your mapping and addressing can be shared. So you're really taking things that might be disparate, but you're going to make them into a one single facility in which everything will be the same. It also helps when you have a very busy day in the center. Some of these centers have 2 people working. Some of them might have 3. Some of them might have 4. But if you have a 2-person center and you get 2 working structure fires and have a cardiac arrest call and then a police call, those centers become overwhelmed in a short period of time. By having a regional 911 center with a larger staffing, you're able to handle those calls more efficiently. And one of the final things to bring up is that you will have dedicated shift supervisors. Again, a 911 professional who's overseeing the shift of call takers and dispatchers to ensure that they're doing a good job. And additionally, make sure all the policy procedures are being followed. And if it gets busy, to be able to, upscale your staffing and bring additional people in. Jason, do you want to go over some of the things that you find as the project manager?
Sure. As project manager, if anybody takes the time to, or if you've already read the needs assessment and strategic plan, I just want to point out that was really a collaborative effort of your local law directors, finance directors, those that operate the 911 centers. So if you do read the report, it's a collaborative effort from the people that currently run the centers. So with the site visits and the interviews and the work that was done, I think some of the points that Mike makes to stress are when you look at supervision of the centers, many of the centers don't have a full-time director, such as Stow. You do. Others have maybe a police captain that is just another hat that they wear. When he talks about quality assurance and training, the same vein, it's just another duty that somebody's trying to perform. Whereas when you go to a regionalized center, you're going to have that full-time 40-hour-a-week person getting ahead of the curve for those quality assurance issues, working with that training officer to say, hey, we really realize that this policy isn't being implemented on a regular basis. Can we work this into a refresher course for everybody? I think those are the kinds of things that we should stress, as well as maybe from the financial side. The amount of equipment that's currently out there, each of these centers, Stow included, is paying maintenance contracts to maintain their radio systems, including what the dispatchers and call takers are using in the center, maintaining your computer-aided dispatching system, maintaining your logging recorder, and your 911 equipment. Those are very expensive. When you go to a regionalized center, the amount of total equipment for all of the backup positions begins to be reduced. And over time, those maintenance costs become significant. So you're able to afford that quality assurance person. You're able to afford that training officer. We're not saying that you should save every single penny and not improve the center. We're saying that you should improve the new combined center as much as possible. And here's how you can do it from those savings. So, Chief Film, I'll throw it back to you.
Okay, thank you. The next question that we always get is, where's the center going to be? What's it going to look like? And unfortunately, we can't take tours of it. But I have asked Deputy Director Lori Pesci to walk us through where the center is going to be and what it's going to look like. Lori?
Okay, let me see what I have. So is everybody able to see that?
Yes, it looks like photos of the current building, Lori.
Okay, sorry, I just wanted to confirm that that's what we were looking at. Okay, so here's the location in Talmadge. Let me see if we can restart that. This is entering through the back of the building. And we'll just briefly walk through that. Here's the current layout now. It's part of the Developmental Disabilities organization. They were doing some PPE distribution right there. So this is the main portion of the center. Back here is for any additional collaboration. Midway through is going to be the training section, and out here is going to be where the Regional Dispatch Center would be located. And I will show you a floor plan of that. Let me bring up our floor plan. So again, we came in, when I brought you in through the video, we came in this rear door. There's a a lot of available parking in the back. Everything's been going to be secured. We had Ohio Homeland Security come out and do a needs assessment of the building. They found structurally it was very sound. It's a good location. There were minimal changes that we had to do to the building. You come in the back door, there's training rooms, additional space for consolidation. The yellow portion is the training space. Up in the pink area is primarily where the regional dispatch center would be located, with office space. Summit County Public Safety and some of our stakeholders would be able to utilize classrooms and training rooms to the front. There's also a break room, a small workout facility, showers, and our intention is eventually to move our 800 radio system, radio shop out here, and that's the green in the back. And then we just have a rendering from MPG Architects that we have been using to see what the space is going to look like once it's furnished. So again, that's that front space area with all the different console locations. And that's what we have in terms of pictures. We're in the process of putting that all together. So we will push that out if it becomes a video form to all the participants. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is going to be Brian Nelsen. He's going to talk about the structure and cost. Brian, sir.
All right, thanks, Chief. So let me, I want to talk a little bit about public safety in Summit County generally, and kind of piggyback on some of the comments Chief Stone made along the way, and also talk about this project specifically. So, consolidated dispatch is certainly not a new concept. The communities that have been discussing this particular project, being the county itself, the county sheriff's office, the cities of Stow, Cuyahoga Falls, Greene, Fairlawn, Talmadge, have all been in discussions for the last 3+ years on this particular project. Those communities already dispatch for a combined total, including themselves, of 18 of the 31 Summit County communities. So the concept with and the agreements with how they do that may be a little different than what we're discussing here, but this is not a new concept. As most of you probably know, the city of Stow several years ago began dispatching for the city of Talmadge. The kind of what led us to the impetus behind all this is really technology change. So we're looking at a situation where all of the communities involved in this needed to upgrade their dispatch systems to become what they call next-gen compliant, which is software that allows us to capture text messages to more accurately locate where callers are calling from, to be able to get video feeds, pictures, all of that. But that is expensive, and so is maintaining all of the equipment and all of these centers, and it's only going to continue to get more expensive. Now, in Summit County, in particular, I think we're a little unique among counties in the amount of collaboration and discussion we have amongst all of the communities. And in many respects, particularly with public safety, the county itself is kind of like the hub of all of that. We're not necessarily an entity in county government that can force communities to do things, or agencies, but we're kind of like the whole wheel and the spoke concept, the carrot and the stick, where we look at ways to consolidate services, try to save money, try to provide better service, and then try to get partners within our communities who want to participate in those. So as Chief Stone mentioned, the county radio system. So back in 2000, the county, and it was really the county and the city of Akron, invested something to the tune of $20-some million to build out an 800 megahertz countywide radio system. So we now have over 3,000 users on that system from every police and fire department, public service departments, so street departments. The school districts are on that system. The hospitals are on that system. So if we have a major outage with phone service, those agencies, and we had one a couple years ago, that one of the main processing centers for AT&T in downtown Akron went down because of a steam pipe, street steam pipe that burst. The phones went out all through the county. Those agencies and the hospitals were still able to communicate and still able to dispatch calls using that system. That system in 2016, the county spent $16 million upgrading it to a digital platform, also expanded by adding a 10th cell tower to it, and also adding more redundancy, and also tying into a state radio system as part of that project. So when it comes to mutual aid and supporting each other, public safety, police and fire in particular, are way ahead of the game in a lot of areas in terms of collaboration and consolidation in the county. Chief also mentioned the Matrix. That's a case management system that the county prosecutor's office was looking to upgrade a case management system. And as part of that, we said, well, what are the prosecutors' offices in the municipal communities using? And we ended up with a host of communities and the county jointly purchasing a case management system, which is now also being integrated with this consolidated dispatch system. The county is currently working on a countywide virtual courtroom project assisted by the city of Fairlawn, who operates its own municipal broadband structure called Fairlawn Gig. Fairlawn Gig provides true 1 gig up and 1 gig down service, and provides it in a way that if there are issues, you can call the city of Fairlawn and not get put on hold for 6 hours to be told somebody will come out a week from Thursday between noon and 4 to fix it. Right now, that service is in the city of Fairlawn. Looking at our desire to be able to run court operations across the county in the municipal courts, including the Stow Municipal Court, and eliminate the need for transporting prisoners all over the county for court appearances. And this is a COVID-19 thing. We decided to invest money, but we needed much like this, a Zoom type environment, but it had to be secure and private. And so Fairlawn Gig is helping us, and we're going to be spending almost $7.5 million running all of the infrastructure and setting that system up. But that $7.5 million investment is likely to save us millions of dollars in the future on prisoner transport costs and court reporting costs. So my point is there are a whole host of unique and innovative projects that have been undertaken and that are being undertaken that help support the criminal justice and public safety system. When we were all looking at upgrading these systems, a group of us, including all those communities I just talked about, got together, started vetting both the need to upgrade the software and this whole consolidated dispatch plan. And this was back in 2017. We got to a point where we kind of felt like we knew what we were doing, but we really felt like something this important, we really needed to take our time and make sure it was done correctly. That led us to issuing a request for proposals and eventually hiring MCM to come in and help us vet this. And then we split the two projects. So acquiring all of the software, and the city of Akron was a participant in that project as well, was split away from the concept of consolidating operations. We put together a plan. MCM came in and immediately helped negotiate $800,000 in additional savings to that plan, helped us vet it. We, as a combined collective group, the 7 participant communities and the county saved collectively $7 million by joining together to acquire that. And what we acquired was countywide site licensing. So any community in Summit County can become part of this system. And that's just kind of a laying the groundwork for the future maneuver that we did with that. The new system is actually up and running in Akron with the city of Akron and with Summit County Sheriff's Office, and is scheduled to go live in Stow, Cuyahoga Falls, and the rest of the communities in, I believe it's either November or December. Jason can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but it will be up and live before the end of this year. So there has been a lot of planning that has gone into that piece. If any of you have looked at the plan that was put together on the staffing of what consolidated dispatch, this operation would look like, a ton of planning that has gone into that piece of it to make sure we all knew what we were doing and heading into it. The site over at the DD facility that Lori was talking about, I don't know if I have screen share. If I do, I will add one more piece to that. This is from our GIS maps. This is the location. So it's at the corner of 91 and Howe Road. It is the Developmental Disabilities Campus. So that is the school, and this what used to be what called the Weaver Workshop is the facility that we're looking at. As part of the process of vetting facilities, we had asked all of the communities to nominate facilities that were a potential for this. And at one point, we were all looking at the former Summit County Public Health Department up on Graham Road by State Route 8. That was deemed, as we brought architects and engineers to look at it, to not be a suitable location because of flooding issues, redundancy issues. It was not weatherized. It would not withstand the type of events that we were concerned could potentially take out a center like this. Communities nominated them. This one got thrown into the mix because, quite frankly, the county owns it and the DD board is moving out of it. It is available already to us. When the group and the architects went out and looked at it, as you saw from what Lori showed, it is basically a hollow shell that saves quite a bit of money in terms of renovating it and turning it into what we want it to be. The last thing I'll kind of end with, as we got into COVID this year and we were working on all of this, I kind of assumed that this is one of those projects that might be shelved because of the economic constraints that COVID might present to all of our communities. When we got the operating costs and the of running a facility like this and the capital investment costs back and looked at what it would take to do this, it very quickly to me became a we should not wait. We need to start moving on this scenario. The cost to the large players in this, the city of Stow, the county, and the cities of Cuyahoga Falls are roughly the same as what they're paying right now. For the smaller communities, the mid-sized communities, Fairlawn and Green in particular, they would actually save some money. Because the reality is the cost that it takes to run a dispatch center is too expensive for the number of calls that they're handling. It just doesn't make sense for them to continue doing that. When we look at what we're getting as the larger communities for the same amount of money, we are getting a truly professionalized staff with training standards, quality assurance standards, much better coverage in terms of staffing. We are getting a state-of-the-art facility that is essentially weatherized, that meets national standards for a dispatch center, that has redundancy. It's going to have a tower that ties into the county's radio system located at it. And if you noticed from that picture, it's expandable. There is plenty of land and space available there that would allow us to expand this. What we get in return, and the other thing I would say is when it comes to the fact that even right up front we're paying the same amount of money, I truly believe that there is the ability to save money in the future. So the communities that are in on the front end, we have collectively said, and everything we're talking about here have been collective decisions between all of the communities working on this. We have collectively said we would offer positions to every dispatcher that currently works in every community. The reality is we may not necessarily need all that, but we know that through attrition over the coming years, if we don't need them, once they retire or leave, we just won't replace them. So being in on the ground floor of this is definitely a benefit. The other big benefit for being in on the ground floor is having a say in forming it and running it. The communities who come in later are not going to have that opportunity. They're going to be a subject to whatever has already been put together at that point. So there is a lot of benefit to being in on the ground floor of this. With that, I guess I would turn it back over to the chief. And I think like everybody else in the group, be happy to answer any questions at the end.
Thank you, Brian. And just last but not least is Mayor John Pribonic, who is also our safety director. Mayor Pribonic. You're still muted, sir.
I think the chief intentionally did that, but that's the second one. A couple things I'd like to reiterate because this group has done a fantastic job explaining this to you. But going back to this, when we say this is not new, this goes clear back to when Karen Fritchell was mayor. So not that I'm calling Karen old, but like I said, this has been talks not just at this level, but clear back then. And reiterating, all mayors, finance directors, law departments, chief of police, chief of fire, they have all been involved in this. And one thing that I look at as beneficial, I've been sitting in this position for approximately 2 years. Previous to that, of course, I was on council, so I did know some about it. But when I came in, I was not actually jaded of saying, is this good or is this bad? And I think that's very beneficial because I was able to take an outside look. Several times I had conversations with both Chief Film and also with Chief Stone saying, do you think this is good? And this is clear back maybe in January or February. And we weren't totally sold. We were saying, well, we're not really sure. We don't want to move ahead unless this is good for the city of Stow. So like I said, it came to this point right now that we're talking to you today that we would not be talking to you if we didn't feel that this was a good process and a good program to follow. I also want to reiterate that we do have a very fine facility. It's not outdated right now or anything else. But if you listen to Brian Nelsen, as far as that was concerned, listen to the big numbers. These are huge numbers. When you start looking at things, we know that in 3, 5, 7 years, we're not going to be able to keep pace and keep providing our own dispatch center. We're going to price ourselves out of the market. And what that's going to do is it's going to go ahead and actually give, I believe, decreased service as we go along. Like I said, we're great now, but that's not the case. We have to look forward into the future. Another thing, as Brian said, no dispatchers will lose their job. In fact, all of our dispatchers, if we would join this, would actually get raises. Okay, so like I said, I think that's very important. One last thing I'd like to go ahead and say is we've talked about this and kind of referred it to the Mayberry concept. of people saying, we feel more comfortable if it is in our city. Well, like I said before, we dispatch for both Talmadge and Mogador. And for the most part, I can tell you, and it's nothing ever been big, we do not have issues. So they had trust in us. And this has been going on, and that process has worked very well. But also too, if you talk to both chiefs and you also look at our dispatch center, not everybody that is a police officer or a firefighter or dispatcher currently live here in the city of Stow. But that does not make them a lesser employee. The person who lives in Akron and actually is a police officer for us is just as fine person as and does just as great a job as the person that lives here in Stow. So that idea that you have to know every street and we're going to go ahead and do this, the computer aided dispatch actually does that, and to a greater extent. So like I said, the other thing is we're only 2 weeks exactly from today is election day. And I just want to put that out there as we're doing today. Please reach out to any of us. We want to hear your questions, comments, your concerns, because like I said, we've got 2 weeks to go. We know that some of you have already voted, but if that also not only goes for you and your questions and concerns, please tell people about this and say, hey, listen, if you have any questions or you have doubts or you've heard a story, let us go ahead and set the record straight. So that's why we're here today. And I appreciate everybody's time. Thanks.
Mayor, if I could chime in with one other comment kind of from the countywide level, you know, we, and I'm sure you hear all the time about government should run more like business. Well, these consolidations, and obviously public safety is we can't trust privatizing public safety. It has to remain in the hands of government, but it needs to be run efficiently. And you're right, it needs to look forward to what is the most efficient, not just efficient, but what is the best way to protect our citizens. And when you talk about a mobile society, I mean, you know, I don't live in Stow, but I'm in and out of Stow all the time. If I have an emergency and I pick up the phone and call a dispatcher, I don't necessarily care if I'm like on the border of Stow, whether it's Stow or Cuyahoga Falls or whoever it is that responds. Having a dispatch system and a radio system where those decisions can be made about, you know, who's responding, who's closest, not trading off phone calls. To me, I think that's the no-brainer part of this. And I kind of look at it from the business perspective too, of taxpayers do not want their taxes raised. I don't want my taxes raised, but I do want top-level service. And I don't think any of us sit here and think that Google or any of those companies that are progressive, forward-looking companies look at what they have and say, oh, we're fine. We don't need to do anything else. They're constantly reinventing themselves and looking for new and better ways. And that really is what this is about. Also recognizing that we've all learned during COVID that we can't rely on the state, and we really can't rely on the federal government to take care of us. We've got to do it here locally. And so this is, you know, Summit County is a very interconnected county of communities that we all have friends all over the place. And so making sure that we take care of ourselves here locally, just to me, makes nothing but good business sense.
Chief, back to you.
All right, thanks, Brian. Thanks, Mayor. I'll turn it over to Jennifer, and if you want to moderate the questions, we'll go from there.
All right, if you've got questions, you can put them in the chat. We do have one mention here in the chat that there's a live town hall meeting on this topic tomorrow. Is that right? No, October 27th at 6 p.m. So if you need additional information, maybe pop over there. And I don't see any other questions in the chat. Folks, if you'd like to send us your questions, you've got everybody here all at once.
Jennifer, you've got a small group here. You could probably just open up the mics and let them ask.
Yeah, I've got somebody waving.
Yeah.
Jennifer, this is Jim Costello.
Hey, Jim.
The information was typed in there. It's going to be at the Ackermore Memorial Post on October 27th at 6 p.m.
Okay, thank you for that.
Jennifer, this is Tracy.
Hey, Tracy.
Hi, I've got a question. The whole making sure that your call goes to the right place issue. I live on the Portage County line. Every time I've ever used my cell phone to have to call, it's always gone to Portage County. This is not going to solve that problem, from my understanding. Is that correct?
This is Mike McGrady. That can be corrected. If that cell tower face is facing Summit County and the majority of the calls are, for Summit County, what you do is you work with the neighboring county and you work with the wireless carriers and you have those calls redirected to Summit County. So that can be addressed. Actually, today can be addressed if need be. But yes, that can be addressed.
Mike, how do we find out how many of those calls, if the majority of those calls are Summit County calls?
The wireless carrier would know that based on the amount of calls that hit, and then you would work with Portage County to see how many calls they're actually receiving and they're transferring back to your 911 centers in the county.
I'll have our 911 coordinator, Mike Banks, look into it today.
Thank you, Lori.
And Lori, if they need to call me with any questions, they can just call me and I'll help them through that.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to be hanging door tags for issue 23 because I'm in favor of it. But we weren't supposed to engage too much with people, but people wanted to engage with me as I walked up their driveway. I got several questions that I really couldn't answer. So I'm hoping that I can get answers now that I can get to them eventually. One of the big ones, and I didn't understand why they were so concerned, but they asked, to whom will these employees, these dispatchers answer? Who's the boss?
Well, the concept we're looking at creating would be a regional board made up of the chief elected officials from each community. Then, in that case, if Stow's involved, Mayor Pribonic, and he can certainly select an alternate to sit in for him, but he would be one of the voting members, and it would be equal votes for those founding members of that board. We would also have subcommittees of that board made up of the chiefs of police and fire that work with the center and the quality assurance folks to make sure that all of the police and fire departments are getting what they want out of this center as well.
I know one of you, I forget who now, I apologize, mentioned that all the dispatchers who are currently working will be guaranteed a job. This same man, he was interesting. He said, "Well, how about raises? How are those determined?" I guess he was more concerned about money on several levels. And of course, pardon me?
Is he a current dispatcher?
No, he was. I'm 75 years old and I want to know these things. Okay. I said, "Well, I'm 71 and I don't know." So it was all money.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've put together a salary structure, and it's based off presently anyways, Cuyahoga Falls, who has the highest rate of pay for their dispatchers. Now, part of the assessment and all of that is different dispatch departments have different levels of responsibility. And I'll use the sheriff's office dispatchers as the prime example. They are the lowest paid dispatchers of all of the groups, the communities represented, but they don't dispatch fire calls. So part of this process is going to involve probably at least a year's worth of training and crossover training between all of these dispatchers to get them all like up to speed. And as Mike McGrady has said, it probably means like Stow dispatchers will go out with Talmadge police officers or Cuyahoga Falls police officers and go ride in those communities to get to learn those communities. The decisions on pay for it. So in the end, we will end up with an equitable pay system that very much kind of is built off of what we're all currently doing. Stow dispatchers will get the benefit of the fact that Cuyahoga Falls dispatchers already make more than they do. And so will the sheriff's dispatchers and others. That's one of the interesting nuances to me of this. When I talk about Stow City's cost of participating in this not being any more than what they currently pay, that's with their dispatchers getting pay increases as a result of this. But it will very much be run just like we all currently run our dispatch operations. It will just be a collective group of elected officials that will run that new combined center.
And Brian, to that point, that's how our radio system, our regional radio system works, and that's how our regional CAD system operates.
Yes.
Well, I hope that answers his question, but I do have one more because this was a friend of mine, somebody I grew up with, but he obviously has some kind of a connection with Fairlawn Gig. When he saw that I was promoting issue 23, he texted me right away and he said, it's a great concept if you folks would be joining with the Fairlawn Gig fiber network community for your next levy. It all works toward higher levels of connectivity for public safety, telehealth, telemedicine, learning from home, working from home, alternative and renewable energy, smart grids, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All I wrote back to him was, one step at a time, Dan, one step at a time. And then I heard Brian Nelsen mention the Fairlawn Gig too. Is there any remote, remote connection? There isn't, is there at this point?
So let me tell you a couple of things on the Fairlawn Gig front. And this kind of goes outside of this project too.
Yeah.
So obviously we selected Fairlawn Gig to set up this virtual courtroom process for us. So that project, and it's an ambitious project because we're using federal CARES Act dollars that we received for COVID expenses. Those are the same dollars that we've launched the small business grant program across the county, the nonprofit grants, the rental and utility assistance programs. One of the things that we elected to invest in is technology upgrades. So here at the county, it's remote work for county workers so that we can continue. The court issue and the jail issues became big problems with our inability to conduct hearings.
Sure.
We've also known that for a long time that the whole process of taking 80 prisoners down to the Summit County Courthouse for call days is expensive. It's fraught full of security problems. And to a lesser extent, we've got those issues in the municipal courts and with the local jails. And so we said, here's an opportunity to do something about that, but we need a private secure network. And we have to get it done by the end of the year. So Fairlawn, who has been very successful with this Fairlawn Gig, said we could do that. And we believe we can get it done by the end of the year. That project is underway. We provided Fairlawn a $6.5 million grant. And that means running fiber down through the west side of Akron into downtown Akron. We're going to be taking it up Exchange Street to partially tie in the university. We're going to be taking it up to North Hill to tie in the juvenile court on Dan Street. And then after all of the court stuff gets done, when we build this facility, we will be taking Fairlawn Gig fiber on out Talmadge Avenue to the new facility.
I see.
So that is the immediate plan. Now, we have also applied for an economic development assistance, a federal grant to study, to put together a study on the cost of extending Fair Lawn Gig into job hub sectors throughout. Our goal is, and we have to be a little careful because I've already gotten calls from Spectrum saying, hey, how do we bid on Fair Lawn Gig?
We're here too.
And we are keeping an eye on down in Columbus, any lobbying efforts they might have. But to that gentleman's point in question, and it's going to take a while, but we do have designs as a collective group of leaders within the community. And this is one of the things I talk about in Summit County all the time. Like all through COVID, we've had a weekly call with the county executive with all 31 communities and with emergency management and with Summit County Public Health, just making sure we're all helping answer questions, helping make sure that if communities need something, we're supporting them, making sure that they have the ability to talk to each other about, the latest thing is what's everybody doing about trick or treat. I mean, it's, mundane stuff like that, all the way up to these initiatives. We really have a very bipartisan collective group of mayors and township trustees across the county who are all in, and police and fire chiefs who are all in and participating in these projects and working collectively together, because everything we do impacts each other. And so it's, Fair Lawn Gig's on the radar, as are a whole bunch of other things that we're collectively.
Well, the funny thing about it is, and this is just my own guess. This, as I said, I grew up with this guy and he's a good guy. I have a feeling that he's a retired policeman, retired sheriff. He owns a security company, and I have a feeling that there is some connection between his company and the Fair Lawn Gig. I probably shouldn't even say that, but it seems
regardless of that, they've got a great product.
Yeah.
They've done really well with it, and we're utilizing it for a lot of this public safety because let's face it, it's in the public domain. We can trust it and we can rely on it. We all get a little nervous about contracting with private companies who may not have, who probably don't always have our best interest at heart when it comes to this.
Well, the only other weird part about this is when he said, joining with the Fair Lawn Gig Fiber Network community for your next levy. This wouldn't need to be a levy versus a levy.
No, we're I don't know. I can't even tell you what the financial, how that's going to work.
Well,
we're just in the process of studying that, but
I thank you. I just wanted to be able to tell him that, yes, it's in the process, and that's all he needs to know. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions in the gallery? No.
What do you say to people who? What do you say to people who say, "I'm not voting for it. It shouldn't leave Stow"? That's what you hear from a small but vocal community, vocal group in the community. We shouldn't leave Stow. I know.
I'll defer to you. I look at this from the perspective of, well, it's going, a quarter mile down the road outside of Stow. It's a
very parochial group of people.
Yeah, this is Stow is not on an island. It's not Switzerland by itself. And many of the people that work and play in Stow are in and out of Stow, as are Stow's residents traveling into other communities. This is really more of a collective, and again, it just makes good business sense. If you want to keep your taxes low, maximize your services, and ask your government to operate like a business would operate, this is exactly what we're doing. And if you want to pay higher taxes and remain on your own little island, then you don't complain if down the road. I don't know that I'd get into this, but I think we are truly trying to operate like an efficient business would operate.
Also,
can I ask
I would
one-
say, I'm sorry. I would just say that it worked for Talmadge. Talmadge came to Stow, and so that was successful for a decade so far. So it works.
We've also seen this year with protests, with COVID. God forbid there would be a monstrous weather event or a terrorist attack. But to think in the community of Stow that you're isolated from any of that and don't need to rely on your neighbors to help respond, or vice versa, that is not, to me, it's kind of one of those penny wise and pound foolish theories that all of our first responders are constantly working and talking with each other and helping each other. This is just one more tool to make that more seamless.
The only other thing that people have asked of me, and I guess I'm wondering myself, why is Stow? Why do we have to put this before the voters? Hasn't this been approved or joined automatically by other people? I mean, what I know what you're going to say. Part of it, the old council.
I was going to say, Mayor, I think this is that small parochial group you're talking about.
Yeah, but again, I've also heard that this voting doesn't automatically put us in. John, can you or somebody refresh me on that? I'm not sure I know. I mean,
Yes.
it isn't automatic here.
No, we have to take our next step of negotiations to make sure that this is good for Stow. Like I said, we wouldn't be here right now if we didn't feel it was. That being said, then yes, it will go back to council, but only for financial consideration. So council would have to look at it and say financially, we don't think this is a good deal. Other than that, that's really their only input, or supposed to be input.
Yeah, no community has voted to do anything at this point other than buy the software and develop it, which we all co-own essentially. So at this point, after this election, we, the county, will be moving forward with the renovations of the facility. And it's at that point we'll be coming to the communities asking to participate in the financial cost of building the facility. And the county will take the lead on hiring or bidding out the contracts and getting that done. The concept of the consolidation group that will then occupy that facility it will take a separate path and then eventually meet back up when everything's finished. So that will be the negotiations of, all the financial terms and everything else. And then the councils and mayors will have to approve that as well. All this vote does is get you the ability to go to the table to negotiate at that point.
Other questions? Final thoughts, chiefs, mayor?
We just appreciate the time that we were able to spend with you today.
Somebody's trying to get in. Go ahead.
No, we just appreciate your time. And like I will reiterate again, we still got 2 weeks from today to vote. First of all, make sure you go out and vote. But number two is, as far as this is concerned, we can all be reached and we'd be happy to answer any of your questions. The person here at Stow who's been our main contact is Chief Film, because he is over the dispatch center. So like I said, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to any of us, but the main contact is Chief Film. Thank you.
Jennifer, the only thing I would add is, we're looking for the opportunity to keep moving forward. And that's what this vote does. It gives us the opportunity, the administration, to do what, to keep looking at this project and make sure it's the best thing for Stow. And that's what we're asking for. And that's why we've been out. We've met with a lot of different groups. We're doing that town hall next week. And I encourage you to come to that also and ask your questions and be part of it. The more questions we get, the better we can educate our community. And that's what we're trying to do.
I think I'd like to add in also that between Chief Film and I, we have about 60 years of service in the safety forces. That's a lot of years. And we do not want to put ourselves in a situation where we are uncertain about the communications link. Dispatch to us is our safety net. It is our life and breath of how we operate. We rely upon a quick and efficient dispatch center every day. If we felt that we were going to get anything less than what we have now, we certainly wouldn't be supporting this. We feel that this is the direction that we need to go to improve our services. Not to say that we don't have good services now, but we will, I guarantee you, we will improve services or other features that we can utilize once we get involved in this particular regional dispatch center.
And I guess my last comment from the county is Chief Film has all of our cell phones numbers. So any questions you have for us, get them to him and he'll get them to us. He's not shy about texting and calling us.
This is true. All right. Well, if there are no other questions from the peanut gallery, we'll wrap it up. And we'll post this link on our YouTube page, and Chief Film and Stone and Mayor, you can put it wherever you feel like you might need to, so folks can reference back. And it looks like there's a live town hall meeting at Ackermore Memorial Post on October 27th at 6 p.m. if a question happens to come up for you that you didn't have in your brain right now. Thanks so much, everyone. You have recaptured a good 20 minutes of your afternoon. If you haven't grabbed lunch, please do so, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.